This is the NFL. We have to be better, and that's the we. I have to be better for this football team. Our coaches have to be better for this football team. Our players have to be better.
Shedeur is way better than Dillon Gabriel. He just is. If Shedeur had started from the start, game 1 against Cincinnati at home, they would be the talk of the NFL right now because
Kevin Stefanski just dropped a locker room bomb so explosive, the walls at the Browns facility are still whispering about it. Word is, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel went from friendly teammates to full-on WWE tag team rivals in less than a minute. Stefanski tried to jump in and play peacemaker, but rumor has it even his clipboard needed therapy afterward. This wasn't a team meeting anymore. It was a Cleveland-style soap opera with shoulder pads, pride, and pure chaos. It kicked off like any so-called normal day in Cleveland, which, let's be honest, means absolutely nothing was normal. The locker room air was thick with ambition, stale Gatorade, and the leftover ghosts of bad draft picks. Stefanski had just wrapped up one of his usual robotic pep talks, the kind that sounds more like he's reading IKEA assembly instructions than coaching NFL players. For a moment, he actually thought things were peaceful until it happened. Out of nowhere, a helmet flew across the room like it was auditioning for the Olympic shot put team. You could practically hear the soundtrack of destruction start playing. In one corner stood Shedeur Sanders, dripped out, confident, the walking definition of a highlight reel. In the other corner, Dillon Gabriel, calm on the outside, but you could see that quiet storm brewing behind his eyes, the look of a man tired of being called just a backup. Suddenly, it wasn't just a quarterback competition, it was a gladiator battle in cleats.
Losing every aspect of the Browns, whether it's the locker room, whether it's the fan base, and even the media that was fine with pushing his propaganda and fine with pushing how amazing and elite Dillon Gabriel is and how much they trust him to run this offense. Now, we're not here to make fun of Dillon Gabriel. We already did that yesterday. At the end of the day, he's a rookie being put in a tough situation with a coach who has an archaic, terrible, awful, bland, predictable offense in Kevin Stefanski. Now, hard to figure it out, but we know Kevin Stefanski's ass. How do you feel about not playing clean foot?
Stefanski froze like a man realizing his playbook didn't come with instructions for quarterback cage match. You could tell he was mentally screaming, "Not again," because let's face it, this is Cleveland. Last week, a drone interrupted practice. This week, his locker room starring in Hard Knocks' dysfunctional edition. And knowing the Browns' luck, next week, it'll probably be worse. Now, this wasn't just an argument. It was a full-blown performance. Shedeur and Dillon were battling like two entertainers fighting for center stage, each trying to win over an invisible crowd that wasn't even there. Shedeur started preaching about real leadership and how owning the spotlight is part of the job. And Dillon snapped back about hard work and grind like he was auditioning for a motivational podcast. Neither of them has ever been accused of being shy, so it was like watching two mirrors argue about who shines brighter. Every time one finished talking, the other would strike a pose, waiting for applause that never came.
To me, it was Shedeur. I didn't see any interceptions when he was out there. Didn't see anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think Dillon Gabriel did a bad job. I was impressed with the brother, but I'm going to go with Shedeur. You know, the pressure was on him, the spotlight was on him. He showed up out on the field. You know, he played better than expected, reminded everybody who he is and what he brings to the table. I like it.
Players started pretending to retape their ankles or tie their shoes just so they could stay close enough to catch every word. And there's Stefanski in the middle, using that forced calm voice coaches use right before they mentally check Zillow listings for high school golf jobs. But it wasn't working. Shedeur was fired up. He pointed to his locker like it was a throne and dropped his bag with so much flair it could have earned him an Oscar. The message was loud and clear. This was his team. But Dillon, oh, he wasn't about to fold. He clapped his hands together in that quarterback ready, set, go motion, but it wasn't for a snap. It was dominance, the kind of silent signal that says, "I'm not moving." At that moment, the argument turned into pure performance art. Two quarterbacks, one franchise, and one poor coach, wondering if the Browns even have an HR department for mental breakdowns. Stefanski had no choice but to step in because that's his job, to look calm while chaos does cartwheels around him. He tried to talk teamwork, voice steady, face unreadable. Both quarterbacks nodded like they agreed, but their eyes were practically screaming war. You could see it. the silent captions floating in the air. I'm nodding, but I'm plotting. The locker room was split right down the middle. Half the team rode with Shedeur, the flash, the swagger, the last name that carries weight. The other half,
what I can tell you, everything has backfired. Due to the sabotage of Shedeur Sanders, every coach looked like they don't know what they was talking about or what they was doing in the draft. You have a bunch of teams looking like they failed at drafting a quarterback, which it was predicted that Shedeur Sanders would go first or second behind Cam Ward, which Skip Bayless said this is the best quarterback he's seen, and you know he's the biggest Tom Brady fan, hands down. He said he could be as good or greater than Tom Brady. That's Skip Bayless on the words, as he watched a lot of quarterbacks come up over years and years. You cannot make this up. Now, here we are, as we're watching the Cleveland Browns go down in shambles. As you watch Dillon Gabriel's gameplay, what I can tell you, yes, he didn't throw no interceptions, but you know he's going.
Team Dillon, the quiet assassin type who stays late, studies film, and doesn't need a camera crew to prove he's working. The energy was electric, divided, and about to explode, because this wasn't just about football anymore. It was about pride. It was basically The Bachelor, Cleveland Browns edition, and this rose ceremony was about to end in violence. Shedeur pulled out his phone mid-argument, maybe to check his reflection, maybe to drop a cryptic tweet like, "Some people talk leadership, others live it. Nobody knew for sure, but it was pure chaos." Dillon caught that move and just laughed. Not a normal laugh, but one of those slow, mocking laughs that bounce off metal lockers and change the whole atmosphere. The kind of laugh that doesn't need words, it just screams disrespect. Everyone froze for a second, that collective "oh" rippling through the room, even though half of them had no idea what just happened. Stefanski stood there, eyes wide, realizing that coaching isn't about drawing up plays, it's about surviving emotional earthquakes. He tried to talk over them, but how do you command respect when your two quarterbacks are arguing about imaginary clout points? So he did the only thing left in his playbook, called a full team meeting. Players sat in a semicircle, quiet like kids in detention, while Shedeur and Dillon sat on opposite ends, pretending to scroll through phones that probably weren't even on. Outside the door, the Browns' PR staff was already panicking, typing up emergency drafts for a press release just in case TMZ got wind of it. Something like, "We're aware of an internal discussion that became passionate." And we all know what passionate means in PR language. Someone almost got smacked with a cleat.
To really say about Dillon Gabriel over the next 3.5 hours? Well, he was composed. Great. You know how he conducted himself? He conducted himself how a career backup should conduct himself, where you just hope that you're able to hold down the fort until the regular starter comes back. The problem is, we don't have a regular starter that comes back. Well, we do, but nobody wants to see him. So nobody wants that to happen. So here we have to hope that Dillon Gabriel, a guy who is certainly limited, a guy who's smart enough to probably be a coach in the NFL someday, has to go out there and conduct an offense. And we just little bit. And we have to hope that Quinshon Judkins is able to carry us into the end zone, and we don't have.
By the next morning, reports started mysteriously leaking, not from players, oh no, but allegedly from Stefanski himself. Suddenly, the rumor mill was spinning out of control, stories floating around that he was concerned about locker room chemistry. Translation: my quarterbacks are trying to kill each other with charisma. Of course, the internet went feral. Twitter split faster than the Browns' playoff hopes. Half the fans riding for Shedeur's confidence, the other half defending Dillon as the overlooked underdog. Memes everywhere, fan edits, hashtags flying. It wasn't football news anymore, it was entertainment. Cleveland didn't just have a quarterback controversy. It had a full-blown reality show, and the drama was only getting started. The receivers didn't even know whose passes to catch anymore. The tension was so thick, you could have bottled it and sold it as Cleveland cologne. Even the equipment guys started labeling the footballs, for Shedeur only and for Dillon only, just to avoid catching a subpoena when it all went south. Then came the scrimmage.
Football stuff and check it down if it ain't there. Kevin Stefanski likes his offense. He wants his offense to control what they're doing and dictate everything. And Dillon Gabriel is more suited to that mindset than Shedeur Sanders. It's the reason why I believe Deshaun Watson struggled. I think it's the reason why Joe Flacco showed you just now. How is Kevin Stefanski going to put the cuffs on me? And I'm Flacco. I done already showed you what I can do, but you want me dinking and dunking.
And that's when everything boiled over. If stress had a smell, the field reeked of it that day. Shedeur took the first snap like he was starring in a Nike commercial, chin high, camera ready, and dripping confidence. Then Dillon followed up with an audible so loud, it probably echoed across Lake Erie. Every throw became a statement, every look a challenge, and even the football seemed unsure which side it was supposed to be on. At one point, both of them called for a huddle at the same time, like two kings fighting over one crown. The entire team froze, unsure who to listen to. So what did Stefanski do? He pulled out an actual coin. Yep, a literal coin flip to decide whose huddle to follow. When that coin hit the ground, you could practically hear the NFL film's music swelling in the background like it was a documentary on madness. It was ridiculous. And yet, perfectly Cleveland. Word around the building is that later that night, Stefanski sat alone in his office, staring at the whiteboard like it personally betrayed him. He probably thought back to every interview where he bragged about wanting leaders of men and wondered if that was just code for future migraine triggers. The fan base was divided. The locker room group chat had turned into a war zone, and poor Stefanski was left trying to sell ownership on the idea that conflict builds character. Ownership just nodded, pretending to buy it.
0 for 4 on third down because Dillon was playing not to lose. Don't throw it to them, don't put it on the ground. And he did a great job of that. But on one of those third downs, you have to try to make a play to win the football game. And trust me, no matter what Stefanski called, Shedeur would try to win the football game because it's how he was raised. You're going to make a play because you were born to make a play.
Let's not grade it because we want to see Shedeur. Let's grade it fairly. That's all I'm saying.
I graded it fairly. Like,
you really want to.
While mentally pricing out how much it would cost to add padded walls to the locker room. Then came media day, and oh, it was a scene. Both quarterbacks rolled in wearing sunglasses indoors like Hollywood stars at a press junket. The message was clear. Neither was backing down. Reporters fired off questions about leadership, chemistry, and team unity. Shedeur's answer sounded like it was written by a brand consultant, all polished and strategic. Dillon's pure TED Talk energy, calm, articulate, and subtly throwing shade without even raising his voice.
I think one of the reasons that Kevin Stefanski gravitates to Dillon Gabriel is because Shedeur Sanders is not what we would call a controllable individual. When you are on the field, a franchise quarterback, the Joe Burrows, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, those people are in control of what they see, and the offense goes as they see. Shedeur Sanders is going to take shots downfield. Shedeur Sanders is going to take chances. You have to take chances in order to be a franchise quarterback and to play.
The cameras loved it, the internet clipped it, and just like that, the Browns' quarterback drama had officially gone public, sponsored by humility. Stefanski smiled through it all, like a hostage blinking in Morse code, silently begging for help. But behind the scenes, things were anything but calm. Word was, Shedeur and Dillon were competing over everything. Who had the cleaner locker? Who signed more autographs? Who got more likes on Instagram? It was a full-blown ego Olympics. One day during film study, they even started a silent staring contest. No words, no movement, just straight-up tension so thick that the projector gave up and shut itself off like it was tired of being part of the drama. Eventually, Stefanski had enough. He called an emergency team-building retreat, which in Brown's language translates to, "Please don't fight in public again." The players groaned, but for the quarterbacks, it was just a new battlefield. They got put on opposite paintball teams, and chaos followed immediately. Reports say Shedeur went full action movie, dual-wielding paintball guns and yelling leadership every time he fired. Dillon, on the other hand, built a bunker out of tackling dummies and called it accountability. You couldn't script this level of madness. It was pure Cleveland theater. And through all of it, Stefanski somehow kept that calm, robotic poker face.
You know, Tyson Campbell did get a little deep fried a little bit, but you know, he also played halfway decent. So you know, it seemed like the
around the edge got him free.
Obviously, we're getting to Dillon Gabriel. As you see, he's gonna throw this ball, and Patrick McQueen's gonna dive into him right here in this midsection area here, right? And it's just not gonna look the greatest. It's not gonna look the greatest. He tried to and I would feel upset too. I would feel real upset if that's what I had.
The kind of look that says everything's fine while his soul is internally screaming. He told the press the team was focused on the next game, but everyone inside that locker room knew the real game was power. Practice went on, passes were thrown, tempers cooled, at least for a moment. Then came the charity event, the one that broke the truce. Someone, bless their heart, thought it'd be cute to have both quarterbacks sign the same football. Big mistake. Rumor has it that football left the building at escape velocity and might still be orbiting the earth right now. Because that's Cleveland for you, where leadership meetings turn into...
Gabriel was pressured on 41% of the snaps that they played yesterday for the Cleveland Browns. So,
what was everybody's first reaction to Shedeur versus the Rams? They were like, the offensive line was trash and he was getting pressured. I called that out and I said they're running cover one. Kevin Stefanski didn't have answers versus cover one and he was getting pressured too much. You know what people told me? He needs to throw the ball away. I said, is that the only answer you have? Yes, he needs to throw the ball away. So Dillon Gabriel, 40% pressure rate. You just need to get rid of the ball because that's what they told us about Shedeur. They said
cage matches, quarterbacks become brand ambassadors for chaos, and somehow, through all of it, Kevin Stefanski keeps his job by pretending this circus is all part of the process. Stefanski didn't leak the story for attention. He leaked it because in Cleveland, even honesty has to go viral just to survive. The Browns weren't just a football team anymore. They were a soap opera with shoulder pads. Every practice was a new episode, every argument a headline waiting to happen. Somewhere in that building, Stefanski was sipping his coffee, mumbling to himself, because apparently peace and quiet are officially banned by franchise policy. It all started with another leak, but not your usual backroom whisper to a reporter. No, this one came straight from inside the locker room. Again, an anonymous video popped up on social media, and it was pure chaos. It showed Shedeur and Dillon having what was supposed to be a friendly post-practice throwing contest, except friendly wasn't the vibe. It looked more like two quarterbacks trying to overthrow each other, and maybe the entire concept of teamwork while they were at it. Shedeur launched one so hard it dented a Gatorade cooler like it owed him money. Dillon fired back with a throw that went so far, it ended up in the parking lot. An unlucky intern had to go retrieve it.
We getting some new information out of Cleveland that the Cleveland Browns veteran players are about to turn their back on Kevin Stefanski. And is he losing control over the locker room? Now, we've seen this whole quarterback situation play out through the draft. We've seen what's happening in the training camp, seen what's happening in practice, and we've seen what's happening in preseason. Now, all camp long, there's reports that was surfacing and people in the media talking about.
And rumor has it still hasn't recovered emotionally. The clip blew up instantly. Millions of views, memes everywhere, and fans arguing online like it was a presidential debate. The Browns facility suddenly had more drama than a Bravo reunion special. Inside the building, the PR team was begging Stefanski to say something, issue a statement, do an interview, anything. But Stefanski just stared blankly at the ceiling for 20 full seconds before quietly muttering something about weathering storms. The man looked like he'd aged a decade since preseason. His hair probably went gray out of pure self-defense. The players tried to act normal, but the tension was thicker than Cleveland humidity in August. During warm-ups, Shedeur started calling out, "My reps," before drills.
We're going to go ahead and go play stupid, like Dillon Gabriel didn't get 52 passing attempts, get sacked 6 times, have a quarterback rating of 34, and look as bad as possible. And Kevin Stefanski continues to gaslight and tell people that, yeah, it's my decision, he gives us the best chance to win. Is he watching the same Dillon?
Just to make a point. Then came the press conference, and you could practically feel the reporters vibrating with excitement. One brave soul finally asked the question everyone was thinking. Coach, does this team have a leadership issue? And at that exact moment, you could almost hear Stefanski's soul pack its bags and leave his body. He gave that tight-lipped smile that screamed, "Ask me one more question, and I'll combust right here on camera." The room went silent. But not for long. Out of nowhere, Shedeur strolled in, cool as ever, and the cameras went wild. Flashes popped like fireworks, and just when everyone thought it couldn't get more chaotic, Dillon walked in too, because of course he did. The press room instantly turned into a live psychological experiment in tension and ego. They both sat down, on opposite ends of the table, naturally, and started answering questions like they were running for office.
I heard it was about Shedeur Sanders, and it got nothing to do with football, or, you know, you got people that can't even tell you why they don't like him and continue to kick his back in. And you see games like this where this particular dude gets 52 passing attempts and he looks as outnumbered or outclassed as possible early in the game, where, you know, Cleveland's running attack is pretty good with Judkins, and they only rushed the ball 17 times the entire game. And you want us to believe that?
Shedeur spoke first, dropping vague wisdom about learning experiences and moving forward. Dillon countered with a calm statement about growth and team unity. Each one was trying to out-mature the other. It was less a press conference and more a duel of vocabulary. You could practically feel the reporters holding back laughter while also praying someone said something headline-worthy. For now, it looked like peace. Temporary, awkward peace. The headlines read, "Browns QBs bury the hatchet for now," which in NFL language translates to, "See you next week when this blows up again." Later that night, someone spotted Stefanski sitting alone at a diner, staring into a cup of coffee like it held the answers to all of life's questions. From the outside, he looked calm, almost peaceful. But anyone who's ever followed the Browns knows better. That wasn't calm. That was shock-induced serenity. Because deep down, he knew this storm wasn't over. Not in Cleveland. In this city, peace never lasts long. The heartbreak's guaranteed. The weather's weird, and the Browns, they'll always find a way to make noise. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more Wild Browns chaos, and I'll see you on the next one.